Hey everybody, Freddie Lee Jones III here, aka Cosplay Freddy, and I would like to welcome you all to another episode of Movies on the Run, our running themed movie review show. So, today's movie, which I just watched on Amazon Prime, and I know I'm late, I know I'm ridiculously late, is Batman the Killing Joke. First and foremost, I want to just say bravo to Kevin Conroy, to Mark Hamill, Tara Strong, Ray Wise, John DiMaggio, and Robin Atkin Dowles, and Brian George for putting on an excellent, what I say is an excellent display of another DC animated movie. The only thing I don't understand is, and yes, I am reviewing a DC property while wearing a Marvel property, Deadpool. Yes, I am doing that. I don't understand what all the hate was about the Batgirl part of the story. I thought it actually played into it. Now, granted, I have never read The Killing Joke, but I heard The Killing Joke is like one of the best of the Batman graphic novels. And if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not giving out bad information, but I thought that was by Alan Moore. Not 100% sure on that. I probably should have looked that up before I started the review. So let's go ahead and go into what I liked about it. I loved everything about it. You really can't say cinematography when it comes to an animated show, but I will say this: like the movie actually felt like all they did was just put an after effect on it. Like it really was shot very well. The artistry and the animation was done extremely well. The introduction of the character of Paris. Now, again, I've never read The Killing Joke, so I don't even know if this guy is like prevalent to this story. But I love the fact of out with the old, in with the new, his mentality on the crime syndicate that his uncle was over. I love the fact that it was extremely, and that might be a hard word to throw out there, but it was very graphic and grounded in realism with it. Now, I will say this. The one thing I didn't understand was during particular shootout scenes, it seemed like every shot was damn near a headshot. So I don't know if they did that for the violence aspect of it, so that way it was like one shot, one kill, and it's less graphic to see a character, get riddled with multiple bullet holes as opposed to just doing the one shot. But everybody was freaking damn near spot on accurate when it came to shooting criminals and criminals shooting, at the cops. I thought that was like extremely funny, and I was like, damn. I said, man, people in Gotham pack that heat, and they know how to use it. Other things that I loved about it, obviously, you can't not watch a Batman film and not have the voice. You can't watch the Joker being in the movie and again not having the voice. Granted, yes, there have been other people that have tackled both Batman and the Joker, but no one beats Kevin. No one beats Mark. I mean, hands down, that's just it. Like these were the roles that they were born to play. So I did enjoy that. I didn't get kind of weirded out to a degree of actually I didn't. I didn't get weirded out with the Batgirl having sex, like the sex scene, because she said she had been with him for 3 years, as opposed to, when you see Batgirl and like other, like, and I can't believe I'm about to mention this, but I want to say was it Batman Forever, the Joel Schumacher debacle, with bat nipples and badass? Yes, bat nipples and badass. Not badass, BAT hyphen ASS. No, that's what we're talking about. Bat ass and bat nipples. All right, so when we see the introduction of Batgirl in this movie, I mean, she's an adult. He's an adult. I didn't get that whole father figure thing that they kind of put like in the old shows and like some of the cartoons, and obviously in the Joel Schumacher movie. I mean, love it or hate it, he did introduce Batgirl, and he was the first to bring us. You know what? I ain't gonna even talk about that because that's totally that's a whole other discussion. So back to our movie, but I didn't get really weirded out behind it, but I think because we've been so conditioned to see Batman as the loner, as the father figure, as the mentor. I mean, if you think about it, like the way that they shot it in this movie, it was almost like, sad to say, it was like a teacher and and his student. I didn't get the whole father figure because she knew who her dad was. Um, Unlike, again, in other incantations, you see it as, oh man, it's kind of weird that Batgirl and Batman got it on. And the fact that they did it that one time, and she was basically, I love the fact that she said that, hey, it was only one time. We can go back to living our lives because, hell, shit, she was almost raped. So I thought that was actually kind of cool that they threw that in there, that Paris was not only a criminal, but he was also a rapist. And the fact that they explored that when he tried to knock her out and was like, yo, it's 10 seconds till sleepy time. But she still had, through her training, enough gumption to lock herself up in the safe, at the old abandoned bank. And I was like, man, okay, that's something that you rarely see. I mean, hell, I thought at the one time when when Mask of the Phantasm had came out in the 90s, I thought that was pushing the envelope because it actually showed a criminal killing other criminals or killing other bystanders and stuff like that. I thought that was groundbreaking in itself. Sadly, I never saw it in the theater, but I was like, man, this is like crazy as all hell. And then obviously, DC has to keep up or try to keep up with Marvel. And I will say it now, as I've said it 100 times before. Marvel is holding it down for live action. DC is holding it down for animation. I still to this day don't understand why a lot of these movies don't go to the theaters to make, a little bit of extra money. Or hell, even if you released it for like 2 weeks, people will see these movies. I'm one of them. I would have loved to have seen The Killing Joke in the theater. Like, I would have paid to go see that. I would have paid to see that shit in IMAX. Like, that's how much I enjoyed it. But again, the movie to me was extremely great. The stories, the meshing of the stories, and people say, oh, the Batgirl thing was like an interlude to something else that's coming later. I thought it kind of played perfectly. I kind of wish we would have, which takes me probably to a dislike. I think it would have been kind of cool to explore what happened to Paris after Barbara gave up the mantle, before her incident happens. And it also kind of bleeds into the fact that, like, as soon as she gives it up, next thing you know, the Joker escapes. Next thing you know, she gets shot, so forth and so on. So there was really no no. I guess the best way to put it, everything just kind of happened a little bit too fast when it came to the situations, because it seemed like the first 15 to 17 minutes, it just went straight from that into The Killing Joke. And I guess that's one of my beefs about it. But to me, again, yes, the pacing was extremely fast. Some of it seemed extremely rushed. But at the same time, it flowed for the hour and 15 minutes that the movie was on. Now, another thing that I love the fact of this story continues with all of the mythos of the Batman mythology. When Batman, there's a scene when he's in the Batcave. Of course that would happen. And of course, we don't know who this is. Call me back. Alright, so sorry about that. Should have put the phone on vibrate. But this is what I would say. What I was talking about. I love the fact of how when Batman was looking at his computer in the the Batcave, you saw different nods to other movies in this, like the Joker sitting as Heath Ledger did in The Cell. When they showed the original comic where the Joker has the Joker, the Batman card, and another card. That's like from an old comic book. Then I love the fact of how they show when Commissioner Gordon, right before Barbara was shot, he was like, "Oh, the first time they met," and it's the original cover done in a black and white newspaper. But I thought that was real cool. Then I saw essences of the Tim Burton series. Um, I want to say it was a scene where the Joker was sitting like in the mock beach scene, and he had the sunglasses on. That was done by Jack Nicholson, and of course, the first one that I spoke of with him sitting in the cell was basically Heath Ledger when he gave that clap when the commissioner got promoted, which I thought was really cool. And then there was a couple of other ones like, okay, oh man, that's animated series. Oh, that's another comic. Oh, I remember seeing this at a comic book convention. That particular picture on like a poster border or like a metal sheet for sale or for something like the metal posters and stuff like that. I thought that was actually really good. I love the fact that everything boiled down to, yes, they kind of brought in a little bit of the Nolan mythology of the Agent of Chaos and the speech, like when he was telling his thing about, anybody could be driven to the point to where I am. It just boils down to, having that one bad day. First thing I thought about was Heath Ledger when he spoke to Harvey Dent when he became Two-Face, and was like, he basically gave that same little speech and was like, hey, if I blow up a hospital, people go crazy, but if people, soldiers die by IED in Afghanistan, it's all part of the plan. And I thought that was so unique how they did that. Again, I have not read The Killing Joke. I don't know how many times I can stress that, but I thought that was, really cool where he was literally just basically trying to drive Gordon insane. And then the fact that Gordon still kept his wits behind himself because Gordon was a formidable opponent when it came to the Joker. He led on to let the Joker think that he was defeated to a degree. Yes, he was defeated because he was before he was a cop. Can't say that. He was a cop, then he became a parent. But you know how that dynamic switches when you become a parent. Everything becomes secondary when it comes to your child. So I love that dynamic of it. Now I hope I'm not going off on the tangent too much, but I was just in awe on how great this movie to me was. Again, I still don't see all the hate behind it. But hey, to each his own. That's all I can say. So I went over my likes, which I thought were the animation, obviously the voices, etc. The dislikes was, things just kind of seemed to happen, real quick due to time. Another dislike. I honestly wish the movie actually would have been, a couple of minutes longer. Like, I think for them to really explore, because I've met people who have read The Killing Joke, and people tell me, "Hey, man, you gotta read it. It's probably like the best, story that money could buy to ever be told in the Batman mythos." Hell, of a lot of graphic novels. I've even heard of people saying that The Killing Joke was over Watchmen, and that it was over the long holiday. I think that was another one. Or the longest holiday or something like that. But there's like there's several of these books, these graphic novels of the Batman mythos that people always say, hey, you need to read. And like, it's always The Killing Joke. And I think my friend Doug Burke was telling me about, I think it's called The Longest Holiday or The Last Holiday. But it was the one where they introduced like the calendar killer or something like that. But yeah, honestly, I honestly really, and for a Batman fan myself and a filmmaker who's making a Batman film, like, this was actually some good ass research that I'm actually going to try to implement a lot of this stuff into our film, Batman v Bane family reunion. Like, I would love to see. Honestly, I would love to see if they continue this route with DC. I would love to see them to explore more of the graphic novels, or hell, like some of the animated series episodes, just to kind of blend them in. So let's get down to the rating. What shall we rate Batman: The Killing Joke on a scale of a 5K to a ultra marathon? Let us see. Let me make sure. 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon. You know what? I will say this is. I will say it is. It's a half marathon that wasn't mapped out properly, and you ended up running a little bit more, almost close to another half of the distance. So what I mean by that is it's like a 3.5. So it's a 3.5 because of the things that I mentioned. So yeah, it's a little bit of a marathon and some extra. A marathon and some extra. That's what we'll say, because it wasn't perfect. But to me, a lot of movies I see now, I deem them as perfect because hell, people are making things. There is an audience for these. Yes, once an audience member views it, it's neither here nor there. So that's my rating. 3.5. I'm sorry, 3.5. Half marathon with a little bit of extra put on it, just for what's and what's. That is today's movie, Batman: Killing Joke. And this is Freddie Lee Jones III, aka Cosplay Freddy, and you have just witnessed Movies on the Run. Thank you and good night. Cosplay Freddy out.